Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Boys News. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much. Good morning to everybody. This is October 11 of October of the year of 2024. We're about to end this year, and we're about to end the era of the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, in the next month. It is important that we just do a little recap and what is happening right now, and how the Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, and Joe Biden, they're still lying. But more than that, it is Kamala Harris and the next administration, how they are going to continue, how they're continuing to lie to everybody that go to the border and say she went to Douglas and she said that the decrease of illicit crossings, and to all these journalists that are working on the other side in the United States of America saying they're not decreasing the illegal crossings, they're continuing. They're always going to continue, and they're continuing massively still. But the illicit and irregular activity is through how people are taking advantage through the CBP One app. And yes, the illicit and illegal crossings have decreased, but what has increased? What has increased has been the CBP One applicants. It has increased massively. And I will tell you why. I have walked more than 11 and documented more than 11 caravans, two of them under the Trump administration. This was on the ending of his administration, knowing that there was a possibility that he was going to lose, and caravans started formulating. Under the Biden administration, I have documented 9, which I have asked how many caravans have then been made under the Biden administration. And a lot of them, the journalists in the south of the border of Mexico, which I have asked, they are debating between 15 and 20. 15 and 20 caravans that they have been made under the Biden administration. This completely attacks the narrative of the left, saying that these caravans were made under the Trump administration and caravans started under Trump. It's complete stupidity, because the caravan started with Barack Obama back in 2015 with the mass migration of Haitians into, particularly into Tijuana, Mexico. That was the first border that they arrived. Now, where am I going to go? This is where I'm going. This is, before I put the video and before I start explaining all of this, I want to put this article into everybody else's so they can understand. This article is one of the biggest outlets in Mexico. It is called El País, and it's called The Country. And it says the migrants can solicitate now to the entrance through the United States of America through the application CBP One from Chiapas y Tabasco. Chiapas y Tabasco are the south border states where they are entering illicitly, the majority of them, through Guatemala. And why they did this, why Kamala Harris did this. This article was released when they started this potential implication of putting CBP One in the south border. This was in August. They did this, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, and the new administration that wants to come in. They did this strategically because they know that if they put the CBP One app in the south border, there will not that many caravans coming. The scandal of illegal migration will not be as much as big as it is. The illicit entrances will not be massive. You will slow down the trafficking of humans in through non-ports of entry, but you will use the illicit, and you will use that other illicit routes, as hacking into the CBP One app, as also applying that you're a refugee and you're asylee when you're not. You're an economic migrant. So you're pushing people to understand that the only outlet it is the CBP One app. So what do you have to do to decrease the mass migration into the north? You put the CBP One app where it has not to be found in the past 4 years. Tapachula, Chiapas, where it has been the epicenter and the bottleneck of this mass migration. So you put the app over there, and what do? You put these people on buses from the south border of Tapachula when they say your CBP One application has been approved, and you have the typical migrant that says, I'm going to Matamoros, I'm going to Reynosa, I'm going to Piedras Negras, I was accepted through Arizona. So all of these buses, they are redirecting to all these borders. So you create another outlet and another resource of income to the particular mom and pop businesses and also to the small bus companies that are working in the south border. So what you create is another market, another huge market you create. So this is a market of transportation. Also, the cartel, they're making a lot of presence in the south border, transporting individuals who don't want to be seen. You just saw a week ago that tractor trailer was smuggling people. They wanted to go through this inspection point of the military of Mexico without stopping, and the military started shooting at this vehicle because they did not know who was in it. And they thought that they were vandals and delinquents, and they were migrants hiding in the back of this tractor trailer. Big mistake of the trafficker. But what this has incentive for the Kamala Harris, that you're not making nobody dumb. You're not making nobody stupid. This is what we know what you're doing. You're using Mexico to stop your Mexican government, to stop your problem and to decrease your problem until after the elections. This, you haven't done it in the past. You did it on the Biden administration. You provoked this mass migration under the Biden administration, making everybody say, in clear statements, Joe Biden said, you're going to search the border. Search the border. He said that. So you make a clear statement on what you want. Now you're making a clear statement to the government of Mexico. I need your help. In exchange for what? Millions of dollars. So you tell Mexico, I want you to put the CBP One app on the south border of Mexico, in Tapachula, where the biggest bottleneck it is formulating of migrants, and they're coming in to move to the northern borders. I want you to put it over there. But in exchange, Mexico going to be like, oh, in exchange for what? What are you going to give me? I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you a lot of money. But just stop it, because it looks really bad what I'm doing over here. And I'm getting exposed. And I'm going to lose an election. And that, people, it is called election interference. So I believe strongly that the Mexican government, if they are helping Kamala Harris to decrease the mass migration at this particular moment in juncture, they are interfering in the elections of the next election, because they know that the only way to clear this up and the only way to clean this up, it is to stop illegal migration all the way to the south border. And they implemented the CBP One app just months away from election. Months away from election. So you don't have illicit crossings massively like they're supposed to be, but you have the CBP One app that is working right now fast. Why it is working fast? They're trying to hurry. They're trying to just depure. They're trying to just clear. They're trying to just filter all of this. And a lot of people have said, oh, they reported migrant entrance at its lowest levels through non-ports of entry. That's what they're saying. Again, I'm not going to repeat myself. Through non-ports of entry, the illicit and illegal crossings have decreased, but the highest numbers are through the CBP One app. That is where you have a lot of applicants that they are not refugees and asylees, but they're saying that they are. They're saying that they are. And you know, a lot of people saying, but the National Guard was escorting the big caravan. There's not a big caravan. It is not a big caravan. Whoever told you that it was 3,000 to 4,000 people, it is a lie. It was 400 and 500 people. It was a small. It's called Micro-caravans, and I will have video, and I'll have video to show you that, so we can expose the truth. It was not a big caravan, and it has happened like that. The Mexican government, they're not going to stop nobody from walking on the road. It is a constitutional right of every person that enters our country. It's Article 11 of the Constitution. So you have to let them walk, whether you're against it or you're for it. You have to let them walk. And that's the thing, that you let them walk all the way to the north border, or you let them walk until they get a smuggler, or you let them walk until they get a trafficker. It is a disaster. This is why I said it has not decreased. It has decreased in illicit crossings, but they have implemented and they're bypassing it through the CBP One app, supposedly creating a deterrent, but it's not a deterrent. You're just creating a deterrent to make people understand, oh, they're not crossing illegally, but they're crossing through the CBP One app. And a lot of these people that they're doing the CBP One app are people that they do not have the qualifications for asylum and refugee. They have the qualifications to work. Yeah, a lot of them, they want to work, but they do not have the qualifications to have an asylee or refugee status. Kamala Harris, what she did was basically make everybody understand that she's doing something and she has lowered down the numbers, but she increased a lot of ports of entry where there are applicants or the CBP One app. So a lot of these people are like, why am I going to pay a coyote? And why am I going to pay a trafficker where I can just wait for the CBP One app? This happened. And, I've been here in Tapachula, Chiapas a lot. Let me just explain what is this. Just for everybody to understand. This is how Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they're lying. This is the line for applicants to get the refugee and asylum status in the south border of Mexico in Tapachula. These are the lines. You see that line, how far it goes all the way to the top? These are not small little micro lines. These are 300 to 400 people, possibly daily, that they're lined up waiting for their asylum or refugee status. And a lot of them, they do not want to wait and they start walking. This is why you have this massive influx of people walking, because they don't want to wait for the immigration process of Mexico. What the Biden administration has done, what the Biden administration has done is they have created this idea for the migrants to say, I'm not going to wait in the immigration process in Mexico. So they have completely disrespected the immigration process in our country. You have to wait. No, I don't want to wait. I want to go. It's my human right. That is the justification of all. So there's a question right here. Lorena Sanchez says, they're just being flown in now, mostly. Wouldn't you say, Oscar? In the United States, yes. A lot of them, they take flights inside of Mexico and they enter through the CBP One app. So this is the line in the top border in Tapachula, where you see hundreds of them waiting for the asylum and refugee status. I have been here multiple times, documenting the migration, documenting how it has increased, documenting how migrants are arriving constantly, every week. Hundreds of them arriving constantly every week. Hundreds. Just not just 50, 60. Hundreds, they're arriving. Hundreds. And all of these migrants, continuously they arrive with the ideology that they are just possibly going to wait for the process of asylum and refugee, or they can possibly just go under the CBP One app. Look at this line. This is not just normal, typical, average line. So if Kamala Harris is telling you it has decreased, the massive entrances, it has decreased, it's because she has opened the gap for the CBP One app to make people understand, to say, oh, you know what? We got a big possibility with the CBP One app. Why should we pay a coyote? She created this deterrent for people to understand, oh, you know what? I'm just going to put it down over there in the south border so they will not make a massive entrance into the north border. This is how it looks right now. This is in the south border as video. This just been recently shared. This video has just been recently shared to me. It's just a couple of days ago. This is from our cameraman that always works with me when I'm down there, Manuel de Jesus. This is just the epicenter. A lot of these people sleep here. A lot of these people stay here for days. Now, this is the caravan. A lot of the people are asking about this caravan that just left the south border of Mexico. And just to inform you guys, the caravans, the way they work is they have different inspection points when they're walking, that they just want to go through that inspection point. And after they go through that, they can easily pick up a taxi, or they can pick up a coyote, or they can smuggle them, or they already have something prepared for them to move them forward into the next particular entrance or whatever they want to go. So this is the micro caravan that you guys are talking about. It was not 3,000 to 4,000. It was just 400 people at the most, 500 people at the most. So they intercepted them halfway into what they were walking, and they made them an offer. The Institute of National Immigration talks to them, and it tells them, hey, you know what? If you want your letter of expulsion of the country, I can give you that. If you want to be expelled from the country, I can give you that. But the letter of expulsion that the Institute of National Immigration is offering to these migrants for them to not be walking, it doesn't say which border you need to be expelled. It It just says that you can expel and you can be expelled from a border. So they can say, I want to be expelled through the northern border into the United States of America, or I can be expelled into the south border into Guatemala. They don't want to do that. It just came from there. So the letter of expulsion, what it does is they give them an advantage in a paper for them to continue to walk, but with a letter that says, you know what, I'm authorized to leave this country through a border. And the border that I want to leave through, it is the north border. So this is not informed to everybody. I have been informing this for years. This is what the International Immigration has done. What the open border policies and the globalists and the global compact on migration, what they have done in the United Nations, have taken away the power of immigration law on every country due to their international community agreements. And these international agreements have taken away the power of the authority of immigration, making the migrants, particularly victims and vulnerable. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they will have multiple options for them to move. In accordance to what it is the law, and you enter illicitly through a country, you will be processed and then possibly be detained and then returned back. Now, if you enter illicitly to a country, it is your right to enter illicitly to your country because you're reporting that you're running away from fear and you want a better life. So that's basically the manifesto of every border as you're coming in from the south all the way to the north. So right now, what Mexico is doing is saying, you know what? This they have been doing for years now. If you want to walk, I will give you a letter of expulsion. And this letter of expulsion, instead of waiting for a process for a refugee or asylee process that takes around 2 months or possibly 3 months, I don't want to wait. So I want to be expelled. I don't care. I don't want to be in Mexico anymore. I don't want to be in Mexico never. So I want to be expelled from your country. I don't need your country. I'm just walking through here because I want to get to where? To the United States of America. But in the letter of expulsion, it doesn't say if you're going to be deported through the south or through the north. It doesn't say that. So the Mexican government knows exactly what they're doing. They know exactly that this is an international humanitarian business. They know exactly that they can just put this letter of expulsion and just let them keep on walking. Also, a lot of these people, they're waiting for the CBP One app. And a lot of them, they put the CBP One app in Tapachula and they walk. So when they walk, they're saying, I'm waiting for my appointment. And also, I got the letter of expulsion. So I have two options for you to not detain me, for you to not stop me. The only thing that I'm waiting on is the approval of the app. So as they are walking all the way, or they are moving themselves all the way to the northern borders, you can understand how they are particularly moving. Let us hear this gentleman, what he explains about his process and what he is going to do. So the majority of them said, I already put the CBP One app process in Tapachula, but I will continue to walk. And in the meantime, I'm walking. It will take me around 7 to 8 days to get to the north border. Possibly I will get approved. And then I don't have to wait here eight days in the south border. I will be already in the north border and I will enter through whatever border they tell me to enter. And if it takes too long, I can just cross illicitly and I can just deliver myself to the authorities and say asylee and refugee. This is when they have just been recently been detained and they are negotiating with them if they want to be expelled or they want to return to this processing center in the south border for them to wait a couple of days and then get a paperwork for them to let them walk. Let's hear this gentleman, where he's from and what is his whole agenda? What is his whole itinerary now that he's being detained? Let's just hear him out as he is being stopped and he is being processed. This is video recorded by Manuel Jesus, our cameraman that always walks with me and documents caravans.
¿A dónde los están llevando?
Tuxtla Gutiérrez.
Where are they taking you? They're taking me to Tuxtla Gutiérrez. Tuxtla Gutiérrez, it is 6 hours away from the south border of Tapachula. There's another processing center in Tuxtla which also flooded, and it has a lot of people.
¿Cuánto tiempo lleva ya en este menester?
No, como un día.
How much time will you have been waiting here for this process? Look, they don't even wait one day. He's saying, I have been waiting one day. They don't even want to wait one day. They just want to continue to move. So this global compact on migration, this is why I'm a pro-migrant. Before everybody understands, I believe migration is a human right. But in those human rights, there's processes and there's laws. These people, they don't even want to wait one day. Not anymore. So it's a complete violation of our immigration laws as a country of Mexico. Why? Because they're telling you this is the process that you got to do, but they don't even want to wait one day anymore. So it's saying, I'm just waiting one day.
Nada más esperé.
¿Cuánto tiempo tenías ya acá en Tapachula?
Como 2 días tenía hecho en Tapachula.
¿Qué les van a
Like 2 days I've been waiting in Tapachula, Chiapas.
hacer allá en Tuxtla Gutiérrez?
What are they going to give you in the next port of entry of Tuxtla Gutiérrez, the one that I just told you, 6 hours away, another processing center?
No te sé decir porque todavía no he llegado hasta allá.
Pero acá cuando te metiste tus papeles, ¿qué te dijeron?
No, le hacen a uno como un permiso para que uno circule acá por días.
This is what I just told you. He said, so what are they going to give you? What are you going to do? It said, oh, they're just going to give us a permit for us to continue to walk. This is the letter of expulsion, which I have been telling you guys that it's continuously been happening. I have been documenting mass migration and also humanitarian crisis and these caravans for the past years. I have documented almost 12 of them, 11 of them to be exact. And ultimately, now 9 of them have been under the Biden administration. 9 of them under Biden. This is a complete catastrophe of migration. Is the most horrible catastrophe. There were, a guy that has a big position in the Institute of National Immigration in Mexico by the last name of Castuera. I met the guy and I interviewed the guy in one of the caravans. The guy has released a statement saying that under AMLO, the Mexican president, more than 13 million migrants entered the south border of Mexico and walked all the way to the north borders of the United States of America. Is Mexico complicit about this? They are part of the global compact on migration. You need to understand, it is the Mexican government, and it's not the Mexican people. It is these globalists that they come with their international agreements. Also, Joe Biden is part of it. Joe Biden is part of the global compact on migration. He brought it back. Donald Trump got out of it. Barack Obama brought it to the West. Then Donald Trump came in. He said no. Then Joe Biden came in again and said yes. This is all Antonio Guterres, the representative of the United Nations. He's the one that is pushing this narrative for this global compact on migration. This is why I told you guys the other day where Tim Walz was sitting down with Alex Soros. It is a huge red flag for you guys. Humongous red flag for you guys. Humongous red flag, because if the UN is sitting down with a potential vice presidential candidate, it is not good news. If Alex Soros is sitting down with Tim Walz, it is not good news. Have you seen Alex Soros trying to sit down with J.D. Vance? Of course not. Have you seen Alex Soros trying to have a communicated conversation with Donald Trump? Of course not. He is not going to have it. Where do you see Alex Soros sitting down? You will see him sitting down with Tim Walz talking about what? Globalization of migration, the Agenda 2030, which is part of the United States of America. It is part of the Agenda 2030. They have said it multiple times. Kamala Harris said it multiple times. All these stupidity and incompetent people that they're saying Project 2025. Why don't you talk about, the Agenda 2030? Why don't you talk about that you are extremely and you are complicit and you're part of it? You're completely part of it. Nobody talks about the Agenda 2030. Why? Because you don't want to say that you are part of it. So the global compact continues. This is the south border of Mexico. These are people that they were in this micro-caravan that it was around 400 to 500 people. They were stopped and they said, hey, you know what? I make you this offer. For you to stop walking, it's raining, you have the kids, you have the children. Let me get you to the other processing center. It is 6 hours away from here. 6 hours away. Get to that process center. You wait over there, and you just wait to see if you're going to get this paperwork, the paperwork of the letter of expulsion or the multiple migration form that is basically what a permit that tells you that you can walk freely from the south border of Mexico into the north border of Mexico, which is the south border of the United States of America. This has continuously happened, in the past caravans, which I dealt with thousands of caravans. The biggest one that I dealt with, it was 15,000. That one was completely dismantled, going in through almost 4 or 5 days of walking, dismantled, authorized by Mexican government to say, you know what, we're going to give you, all of you, these letters of expulsion. All of you, we're going to give you these permits, the multiple migration forms. All of you, we're going to give you all of these things. Just, stop walking and just continue on your own. This is the lies of Kamala Harris. Completely explains what Kamala Harris is saying. Oh, the illicit and illegal migration has stopped. In your ports of entry, yes. But in ours, in the south border, no, it has not. In Guatemala, also has not. In Panama, it has. In the Darien Jungle, which I have been 4 times with my brother, Ben Berquam. The only network has been in there 4 times. It has not stopped. It has not stopped in Costa Rica. It has not stopped in Colombia. It has not stopped in Nicaragua, in Honduras, in Guatemala, in El Salvador, also in the south border of Mexico. It has not stopped. It possibly decreased in your country because you're using Mexico as a deterrent for you to not create this massive arrival into your borders in the south borders of the United States of America, because you're creating this deterrent at the CBP One app. As I am just showing you right here, these people are all of the majority of them, they already applied for the CBP One, but they are walking as to say, you know what, at the meantime that there is being approved and that it gets approved, I will get a letter of expulsion or I will get a permit from the Mexican government. And then from there, I can move forward into the United States of America. One day, the authorities of the United States, they're going to call me and they're going to say, you know what? Are you ready? Are you ready to come in? Yes, I'm ready to come in. Okay. This port of entry, you're coming in. This other port of entry, you're coming in. This is not xenophobia. This is not transphobia. This is not pronoun phobia. This is not fat phobia. This is not white supremacy. This is not racist, fascist, narcissist, bigot, Zionism from the river to the sea. This is the reality. This is the micro-caravan. Look at this. This is the amount of people. A lot of people were talking about that it was 3,000. Come on, this is a group of around 400 to 500 people. And I'm saying the most. I have walked with biggest groups, thousands and thousands of groups. This was the micro-caravan that left under the first micro-caravan that has left under the administration of the new president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, the first woman president. You have a lot of people from Central America that they were on this caravan. A few people from South America, from Venezuela. You have a few people from Venezuela, but the majority are from Central America, Honduras, Nicaragua, so and so and so on. This was a micro caravan that arrived. They didn't want to wait. They were like, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to. This is there was a guy that just said, I've been here one day and I don't want to wait. I just been here one day. And, before when this started, these caravans started, I remember interviewing migrants and like, I've been here 2 months. I've been here 6 months. I've been here 4 months. And I think that I deserve to leave. And I'm like, okay, 4 months, you've been waiting for a process. All right, I get you. Now it is one day. One day, and they don't want to wait. You have created this ideology. The Biden administration and the Kamala Harris administration, what they have created is this ideology that walking, suffering through jungles, suffering through seas, in the back of a tractor trailer, all of this, it is okay. All of this, it is part of the process. All of this, it is part of this illegal migration. All of it, it is part of how we manage immigration. All of it, suffering, walking, extortion, kidnapping, smuggling, trafficking of children, trafficking of women, trafficking of men. All of this, it is part of the Biden administration has created this other market and this idea, and through the migrants and through our people, to make our people understand that migrating through these kind of circumstances, it is the right way and it is the correct way to do it. Number one mistake. Why? Because you have created this idea and implemented this idea. Now the seed has planted, and a lot of the people are saying, I'm going through the jungle. It is the only way that we can do it. In the international and also the international organizations, the United Nations, OIM, ACNUR, all these other international organizations, they're not going to do squat about it because they already planted the seed to say the only way is to the Darien. The only way is to this crisis and catastrophes. And we need funding. We need more money because people are suffering. People are this. It is all a vicious circle of making money out of humanitarian crisis, out of human misery. And this vicious cycle has been implemented, this seed, by these globalists, by these people like Kamala Harris, like Biden administration, like Alex Soros, like George Soros, all of these people. they implement the seed for people to understand this is the correct way. Of course, it is not the correct way. Let's hear what this woman has to say about her process in this micro caravan that it was around 400 to 500 people that just left a couple of days ago.
Porque no hay el presupuesto para ir en bus o en vuelo.
Why you're leaving on a caravan, they ask her. Because I don't have the economy to live. I don't have the money to leave this place on a bus and also on a plane.
Y por seguridad.
And also for security, which is completely the opposite. If you leave on a bus and on a plane, you will be more secure than walking. But she says that walking is more secure, which I don't know. I don't understand. But let me just, let me just tell you this.
¿Sacaron la cita CBP One o...?
Look at this question from Manuel de Jesus. So important. This is for Kamala Harris. This is how you're lying. This is how you're lying. You created this deterrent for people to make it okay to continue to walk by using the CBP One app. So he asked her, have you already applied for the CBP One app? If she applied for the CBP One app, why is she walking? Because she knows that if at the meantime that she applied, she's moving and she's walking without a document in our country of Mexico. So there's complete disrespect of the law of Mexico, first and foremost, of immigration law, because now you're making the Mexican authorities work to protect you, to guide you, ultimately to give you something of a permit when you already applied for the CBP One app, and you should be waiting on that city on the south border. But no, the people are saying, why am I going to wait here? I can walk on a caravan and possibly get lucky and get, somebody that it can take me all the way to the north border as a smuggler, or somebody that it can be cheaper, get me over there, and I can wait over there. And then from there, I can move around. If they tell me Tijuana and I'm in Matamoros, well, I'll take a bus and take me all the way over there, and I can move around. It shouldn't be like that. For their own security, they should be staying in the city that they apply. Like a lot of the people, when they apply in City of Mexico, you have 25 to 30,000 migrants applying in the City of Mexico, that they're scattered all over the City of Mexico in the center parts of our country. These migrants should be staying in the south border where they applied. Why? Because you just applied there. And there's the only way. Well, they say, oh, we don't have no money to sustain ourselves. We don't have no money to do this. We don't have no money. So you're an economic migrant. You're not a refugee or an asylee. So you need to be prepared if you're migrating. This is the unpreparedness of migration. This is where these people are making huge amounts of money, these NGOs, these international organizations, because they're planting the seed to make this believe that it's a catastrophe, an economical crisis. Yes, it is for their countries. But when they're preparing themselves to migrate, you have these people that they don't have any money. And when they land in the city, you don't have no money. You don't have any money. You start seeing people that they're asking for money on the streets, going over there. Some of the men are stealing or robbing, like it's happening in Colorado, like it's happening in New York, like it's happening in Chicago, like all these cities that is happening. So these people are saying like, well, I just applied for the CBP One app. Let's just continue to move. So let me just put the video on again so you guys can hear this out.
La solicitamos.
¿Y qué tal?
Esperamos ya que en el transcurso del viaje nos salga algo positivo.
They asked her, have you already applied for the CBP One app? She said, yes, I applied for it. But, we are waiting on our way. In the meantime, and if we're walking on our way, we will see if I get approved. The same thing that I just told you.
Por lo económico, pues siguen avanzando para que se le haga más barato el pasaje o...
¿Por qué no tenemos igual?
So he's asking, so you're doing this financially because you don't have money to move, or you will move more to the north to see if you have, because transportation is so expensive. And sadly, she answers, this is the sad thing about our people. She answers, I don't have any money. So the Democrats and this Kamala Harris and all these people have pushed our people to understand this, that this is the correct way to suffer. This is the correct way. Walk, walk, walk. Jungles, walk, walk, walk. Trafficking in the back of the tractor trailers, walk, walk, walk. Suffer, walk, walk. They have planted this seed that this is okay.
Porque no tenemos el presupuesto, por eso vamos así.
We don't have the economical financial support. This is why we're walking like this.
Habiendo el presupuesto, saco la visa y voy en vuelo.
If I had the amount of money and I had the visa, I will pick the plane.
Pese a los peligros, ustedes que van acompañados de una bebé de recién nacido, ¿no?
De 2 añitos, sí.
Well, you're going through some dangers. I see a child. And she says, yeah, 2 years old. Yes.
Vamos con fe y con la bendición de Dios arriesgar.
We're going with faith and the blessing of God. That is, I have heard that so many times. In the middle of the jungle, people screaming. We're going with faith in the middle, and in the faith in God, and people drowning, kids are drowning. We're going with the faith with God. I have heard that so many times. And poor people, that's the only thing. I have said this multiple times, to all these progressive liberals that they're saying that we as Mexicans, why a lot of the Mexicans are supporting Trump, and it's because of white supremacy and we want to be white. The most stupidity and most incompetent comment that I ever heard in my life. No. A lot of the Latinos and a lot of Mexicans are supporting Trump because we are conservative and we are Christian, Catholic, conservative as we were born. We were born with Christian values. And to all of these people that you're justifying yourself with white supremacy and all this stupidity language, it is not even close to that. It is because we were born with 3 values. One of them, we're capitalists by nature. 2 of them, we are people with family. We believe in family. We believe family oriented. And third of all, we are people with faith. These 3. So to all you progressives, they're trying to make it look like, oh, yeah, they're in favor of Trump because they want to be white. No. Stop with your stupidity language. We are not in favor of your progressive stupidity liberalism that is completely destroying the elements of family and the basic elements of our family values in Latino culture. That is basically it.
Pese a los peligros que han enfrentado muchos connacionales como ustedes que han avanzado caminando, que han sido atropellados, secuestrados, ustedes se lanzan a este ruedo para seguir avanzando.
Así es, por el peligro que existe en nuestro país también no nos queda otra opción.
It doesn't even, the journalist asks, do all the consequences of you walking, a lot of the migrants have been run over, have been, assaulted, have been robbed. But, you decided to go. And she says, yes, we decided to go. There's, it's the risk that we are risking in our countries. And we're deciding to go.
Arriesgarnos.
¿Cuántos integrantes de la familia viaja usted?
How many people in your family are, in this family circle that you're walking?
Yo viajo con 5.
5 people. Wow. 5.
Mis 2 hijas, mi esposo y mi sobrino.
My 2 daughters. My husband and my nephew.
La nena que lleva de 2 nació acá en México o ya venía embarazada.
Ella tiene 2 añitos, ella es ecuatoriana.
My daughter, she's 2 years old. She's from Ecuador.
Más adelante es inmigración.
A lot of these migrants haven't been living in their countries for the longest of time. This is how a lot of the migration from Haiti, a lot of the problem in Haiti has been collapsing for the longest of time. But a lot of the migrants that migrated under the tsunami, under the natural disaster, have been living in Chile, have been living in Brazil. This is why a lot of the migrants from Haiti, they know Portuguese, they know Spanish, they know, specifically they know Criollo, and also they know French, because they that's another language that they're really fond of. And they know, a lot of Spanish. Also, they know Spanish. So a lot of these migrants that they have, Venezuelans, they lived in Ecuador, they lived in Peru, they lived in several places. And now they see the opportunity, they go. So they already established a life in another country, but they don't want to live there. So it is not clearly an asylum or refugee status because you're leaving your country, but you have lived in other countries before where you already asked for a refugee and asylum status. So a lot of these people not qualify because they already lived in the parts of Ecuador and the parts of Colombia and the parts of this. So this is why a lot of the documentation that you see on the borders, it is being thrown away because if they find this documentation, they will know their asylum status and refugee status, or their status has been living in another country. And they will say, why you left this country also. And, a lot of the problems is because a lot of these migrants, they say there's a lot of xenophobia. I cannot live there. There's dangers over there. Also, that was my only option. And there's a lot of explanations, a lot of stories. Not all the cases are the same, but there's the cases which is the average one that they say, I saw this opportunity to go to the United States and, I made it clear that they're letting us in. So this is why I'm going. I don't want to stay anymore in Ecuador. or either I'm from Venezuela or I'm from Haiti. I don't want to stay in Brazil anymore. We have this opportunity to go to the United States. Why not take it?
¿Ofrece autobuses o algo? ¿Lo aceptarían para seguir avanzando?
Si es algo seguro, sí. Si es para desintegrar el grupo, creo que no. Pero si es algo seguro, sí, lo aceptamos, claro que sí.
Ok. ¿Tu nombre?
Tania Bravo.
Gracias, Tania.
So you see migrants continue to walk on this micro caravan that left the week. So around 400 to 500 people, this is what it was informed. It was a micro caravan leaving early in the morning. This was, people just gathered. You see children on the stroller right here. And particularly you see the amount of people. This is not 3,000. Somebody was saying 3,000, 4,000 people the other day. No, it's not. It's just 500 people. You see a lot. There's a lot of these micro caravans leaving on a daily basis, Tapachula. A lot of them. So if you count these micro caravans, if you count them 2 or 3 times a week, you will have 1,500, 2,000 people just leaving every week, continuously every week, trying to get into the United States of America. As you have seen, I have walked this particular avenue, also documenting the mass migration. And when I have been in thousands of people in the middle of a huge caravan, this line, it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. It's just huge. This is where they were staying at a shelter, and particularly waiting. Oh, no, this is in the center part. Oh, yes, this is the park. This is the park where they meet before they leave. And just getting reuniting and just basically arranging themselves of how they're going to move on the day after tomorrow. So a micro caravan, 400 to 500 people. The whole point of the video is to basically explain to everybody the Kamala Harris and Biden administration has created a deterrent that is the CBP One for a lot of the illicit and illegal migration, because a lot of the people that they applied in the CBP One, they do not have a possibility to be entering the United States under the credible fear. That's a reality. And they get, the status of just being illegal in the United States of America. They get released, but they're never going to come back to for the court date, because they know that they're not going to be accepted, or they're not going to receive the asylum refugee status, or they're not going to receive a work permit. So they end up working undocumented in the United States of America, and they end up like that for years and years and years to come, with the fear of possibly getting deported, with the fear to possibly one day getting arrested by the Border Patrol, or with the fear of possibly one day being surprised by an authority and be like, hey, you're undocumented in the United States of America. You cannot be here. How many years you've been here? Oh, I've been here 5 years. Well, I'm sorry, but I already created a life. I already have my wife. I already have children. I already have this. I already have that. I am sorry. You cannot be in the United States anymore. It's illicit. You cannot be like this. But they already created a life. So then you have the ideal. And you have the idea of the Democrats, they're separating families. They're doing this. They're separating families. This is what Trump is doing, is separating families. But you already knew that you were illicitly and illegally in the country long as a time. And you already knew that if you created a family, there was a huge possibility that, you were going to be separated, detained, and stopped. And this has been happening. Even under Biden administration have been separating families. As a matter of fact, just for all these liberals, these progressive liberals, the head deporter-in-chief in history, it is Barack Obama, a Democrat, the one that has been the most racist and also president in history towards Mexican and Latinos, the one that created more private prisons for detention of immigrants in the United States of America, the one that deported more Mexicans, the one that deported more Latinos, the one that created a war with the cartel in Mexico using this stupid, incompetent ideology of Fast and the Furious. This same strategy, it is being used today. And, exactly the same situation. It is a copy paste of what Barack Obama did, of what is happening right now. Exactly the same situation. So you use the pandering of, I've been here 5-10 years. Now I'm going to get deported. Now I'm going to get separated. What am I going to do? And Barack Obama was the head deporter and separator of families. He did not care if people were 5 years, 10, 15 years. There were cases that I saw that it were like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. And these people already had a life in the United States of America, and they were separated from their families. This is the consequence of illicit migration. These are the consequences of this. And the Biden administration has created this enormous consequence that is irreparable. I don't see how they're going to repair this. Even if you cannot deport all, you will hit yourself in the shoe. The undocumented economy has created this multi-billion business that is for small corporations and mom and pop businesses in the United States of America, that they depend on the undocumented immigration economy. And also the income tax, the ghost tax, the one that is not reported, the one that is making billions out of undocumented people. So to say you're going to do a mass deportation, possibly Donald Trump is referring to mass deportation of these people that they're doing wrong. These people are doing crimes. These people, they are illicitly acting. These men that they're assaulting, robbing, raping, all of these people, get them out. That is a mass deportation of those. But when it comes to the other ones, I don't know how they are going to do a strategy, because you're talking about millions and millions and millions of people that easily are undocumented, but they're providing a lot of economy to a lot of these American corporations. This just happened, and another nail for the Biden administration. This happened, and for these people to say and have the audacity to say, "Oh, you know what? There's no illicit migration in through the north borders of the United States. There's none." Yeah, the collateral damage that the Biden administration and Kamala Harris has done to Central and South America, it is huge. It is humongous. It is irreparable. I have said this so many times. Possibly your entrances through non-ports of entry into the United States are decreasing, but into Mexico, they have not decreased. And this was a safe house, which they discovered in the south border in Tapachula, full with migrants that they were waiting to be trafficked. And they discovered this safe house in Tapachula. The authorities of Mexico discovered this safe house where they had hundreds of migrants smuggled and hidden to be smuggled in through next ports of entry. This was just a couple of days ago. Of course, they had signs of torture by the organized crime and people that they do not want to stop and wanted to get caught. But this is a clear sign of what the Kamala Harris and the Biden administration has done. Yes, they're saying, "Oh, in our border, we're decreasing the numbers." You're just pandering and you're just creating this smoke screen to make everybody understand in the U.S. that you're doing something about it. But the complications that you have done to other countries, it is irreparable. You have created so much damage, so much disrespect, and nobody's going to repair that. And the continuous smuggling and continuous trafficking continues in Mexico and the south border. As you see, they just found this stash house full with migrants, hundreds of migrants in the south border of Tapachula, where these migrants potentially that were going to get trafficked and again smuggled into different ports, into different particular parts of Tapachula, going into Chiapas, into the northern borders of the United States of America. This happens a lot. This happens a lot. Like, I'm just saying, it happens a lot. Like, it's a lot that happens. And this is the consequences and the complications of not having a secure border in the United States, and particularly going with this agenda that, we're part of this globalization, humanitarian, giving the power of your borders to the NGOs, that they're particularly are the ones that they're processing, and they're going over there and advocating and saying, "Hey, why, Border Patrol, you're touching him like that? You shouldn't be. That is his human right. Leave him alone." That is the actual problem. I have said this multiple times. The only way that this is going to get fixed, and I have said this multiple times, it is to everybody get the hell out of the global compact on migration, cut the funding to these NGOs, do a massive investigation to these NGOs, audit all of these NGOs, and to the NGOs that they're actually doing something, and they have the legitimate statements on how much they have been spending, and have comparable evidence that they have been spending on children, on this, on that, help those NGOs. They're doing good. All right. But the ones that they're trafficking, the ones that they're part of the cartel, the ones that they're in cahoots with this illicit and illegal migration, process them, prosecute them, and cut the funding and investigate where's the whole line. That's what it needs to be done. Get out of the global compact on migration. Stop with all these ideals and all these agreements with the United Nations on all this 2030 agenda. It's just intensively destroying borders, intensively destroying culture, intensively destroying customs, and it is doing with an intention to basically destabilize borders, and it has a political purpose in the United States of America. The political purpose, it is obvious. The replacement theory, it is not a conspiracy theory anymore. Stop with your language barrier of defense to all these progressive liberals. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not creating hysteria. This is not fearmonger. This is not white supremacy. This is not white imperialism. This is not xenophobia, transphobia, homophobia, pronounphobia, fatphobia, racist, fascist, narcissist, bigot, Zionist, from the river to the sea, la, 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 be free, CIA propaganda. This is the reality. It is not a conspiracy theory anymore. It is a reality what you're doing to our people. You're using our people to bring it into the United States of America, reproduce, and it will be the new generation and generations of Democrats, which it will basically reproduce more, and you will overrun the red states. The Republican Party will basically be overrun by the majority of next incoming Democrats, which they are going to be educated by your premises, by your ideals. That is progressive liberalism, that is all this transgenderism, that is this Latinx, that is this all this stupidity of, pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah, that is socialism, that is communism, that is Marxism, that is all this progressiveness. It is what you want to educate. You want to completely eradicate our values, and you want to educate them into your Americano way. That is your you need to bring new product, like Nancy Pelosi said, and like Jerry Nadler said. You need to bring new product into your country so you can manipulate them and manage them in a way that you will say, this is my new generational of people that they are going to, from 10 to 15 years, we're just going to basically replace the Republican Party. And it's going to be overrun. It has been done in Venezuela. It has been done in Cuba. It is being done right now in Mexico with Morena. We're not being replaced as Mexicans. No, we're not. But they're using the populist socialist movement to just basically make everybody think and make everybody believe that they're doing a great, magnificent job when we have the worst administration in terms of insecurity in history, with more than 200,000 homicides. It is exactly what they're doing in Nicaragua. It is exactly what they have done to Russia, changing the constitution for a president to be president all the way to 2036. It is exactly what they're doing. They're talking about imperialism. They're the imperialists. They're talking about fascism. They're the fascists. They're talking about racism. They're the racists. Just here, Jerry Nadler said, we need more illegal immigrants, because if we don't have illegal immigrants, we are not going to be able to pick up our lettuce. We are much better than that. It is time for the Latinos to wake up and understand that we are the most massive and most important vote in the United States of America. It is time for us to understand that we are much better than being farmers, to being construction workers, to being gardeners. It is a great job, and it is an honorable job to have those. But we have the capabilities to be doctors, to be lawyers, to be engineers, to be architects, to be senators, to be congressmen, to be leaders. Ultimately, we have that. And these imperialistic Democrats, they don't want us to be like that, because they need the pandering. They need a specific entity to be victimized. They need a specific entity to be right there for us to just get that actual vote and just that actual extra push for us to get into government and for us to win elections. Always victimize them. Always making them a minority. When the United States of America, anybody is not a minority. We are all the same in the eyes of God. So you always bring the racism card into it. You always bring the progressive liberalism card into it. You always bring all the separation card into it. You always bring the victimization card into it. You always bring, oh, Mexico used to be ours card into it. You always bring, oh, you know what, the imperialist is all about white supremacy card into it. Oh, this land used to belong to the natives card into it. You always bring all the Border Patrol is all white into it. You always bring that card into it to victimize our people and to make our people feel victims, when we can rely on ourselves. We can be responsible to ourselves. We are hardworking people. We are the intrinsic force of our continent of America. Everywhere a Latino stands and everywhere a Latino it is standing, the Latino always work. We have the three most important values in the world. We're capitalists by nature. We are family oriented, and we are people with faith. We believe in God priority and number one, and always going to. So when you are going now to the United States of America, these progressive liberals, these Kamala Harris, these Alexandria Ocasios, these Rashida Tlaibs, these Ilhan Omars, these Gavin Newsoms, these Jerry Nadlers, these Chuck Schumers, these Veronica Escobar, what they want to do, they want to create this new ideology of all these new changing of the mind, leaving and destroying our Latino values and our Mexican values, destroying all of that to make us understand and believe that we need to hate the white man, that it's all about, hating the system, and it's hating the stars, and hating the national anthem, and it is okay to burn the flag, and it is okay to riot, and it is okay to loot, and it is okay to protest. And oh my God, why are you processing that migrant? Because he raped. No, give him another chance. All of that. That's what they are bringing, and that is what they are trying to do. Brainwash the new generation of people that they're going to go in and eradicate the people that they're between the 30s and the 40s and the 45s, because we were raised under those values. Those are the values. We're not trying to get accustomed to the white man. We're not trying to be like the white man. We're not trying to get accepted through the white supremacy, because all these stupidity language, it is being used by these progressive liberals to cut the freedom of speech and to put a label on our forehead for us to be labeled as traitors to our country, to us to be labeled as, oh, you're not enough Mexican, you're not Mexican enough, oh, you betrayed your country because you're a Republican. What happened to the past Latinos? That they have been doing everything right. You don't respect those Latinos, the ones that they have been waiting 9 to 10 years to do their immigration process, the ones that they have been living correctly inside of the United States. Why don't you say thank you to them? The ones that they have the amnesty under Reagan, and they are Reagan Republicans. Whatever happened to those? Are those racist? Are those white supremacists? Are those fascists? Are those narcissists? Are those the worst xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, conspiracy theorists, fear mongers? Are they the ones that they believe in Reagan, that they said, my God, thank you, Reagan, for this opportunity? No, you don't believe in those. So what are you trying to do? Exactly what Reagan did, but bring this new wave of Democrats. It completely replace the ideology of Republicans by creating this idea when they're crossing the border to make them understand that Republicans are racist. Republicans are white supremacists. Republicans are xenophobic. Republicans, they don't like migrants. Republicans are the worst. They're the worst. They're the worst. Come over here. The Democrats, we will teach you. We will help you. We will pander you. You need social programs. You need to depend on these social programs. Defund the police because they're oppressive. Come over here. You don't need, you just committed a crime. Yes, but you don't need to go to prison. You need rehab and you need counseling. There's no consequences for the ones that we are oppressed. Free the oppressed. Free the oppressed. No human is illegal. All of this nonsense. All of this trash. It is the new trash that they're trying to bring to our brains. Using us. Leave us the hell alone, progressives. Leave us alone. We don't want your political trash. We do not need it. We have our customs. We have our culture. We have our beliefs. We have our values. Leave us the hell alone. If you have a massive movement of Latinos and Hispanics that they are in the United States of America, that they're supporting Trump, it is because you, with your ridiculous progressive liberalism, has made it that way. Do you think that us Latinos, we're going to stand with people that they say it is okay to put these programs for these children to change and to adapt to a new sexual orientation when they're 5? Do you think that us Latinos, we were raised to see drag queen shows in kindergartens in 5 to 6 years of age? Do you think us Latinos, we are going to approve abortions to the 8-month or 9-month of pregnancy? Do you think us Latinos, we are going to approve that Jesus Christ is being sexualized in a cross and an LGBTQ plus movement, and it is okay to take away our just basically our entity by implementing Latinx? That Latinx takes away our value, our customs, our women, our men from being men, our women from being women? Do you think that we are going to allow that? No, we are not. And you are depressing the men in Latinos. You are making the men weak by making them understand that you are wrong, that you are oppressive, that you're machismo. It is wrong. No, let me tell you something. Men and Latinos and Hispanics, we're always going to be the protectors and the leaders of the house. We are always going to be believers in family. We're always going to be believers in God. And always we're going to hell. We're going to work till we fall apart, because that is what we do. We work and work and work to provide It doesn't even matter. I prefer 70 trillion, quadrillion times capitalism that be like right now Venezuela, that they don't have electricity, that they don't have water, that there are lines and lines and lines and lines of people waiting to put gasoline in the car, that they cannot even afford food because every food is so unaffordable that with $100 you always buy just 2 or 3 items. That is communism, and that is a dictator over there. We don't want that over here. The American dream. It is not where you want to. It's where God puts you. El sueño americano no es donde tú quieres. Es donde Dios te pone. El que es perico donde quieres verde. These are things that we know by instinct. The Latino and the Hispanic can shine and can be great in whatever part of the world. This is why we have those 3 values, and the Democrats and the progressive liberals want to take away these 3 values so we can adapt to their progressive liberalism, non-believers on God. And they make us believe that the United States is the solution for everything when we have had Latinos that they have been world leaders in every part of the world. Soccer players, basketball players, scientists, everything that you want. We have always survived on our natural instinct. This is why you will never, and we will never adapt to Latinx. Never. Men are men, women are women. This ideology of this non-identification of what is a man and what is a woman will never hit to our Latino culture. Because we know much better than that we are not going to adapt. And the only place that will be adaptable, guess where it's at? In the United States of America. Why? Because you have all these progressives that they're accepting, and they know the necessity of our people. They know the necessity of our people. And because they know the necessity of our people, they're taking advantage of that. And meanwhile, they know that we have a necessity. They indoctrinate them, would make them understand that this is this. This is what you need to be educated on. The hell with the Republicans. This is what you need to be educated on. The United Nations is good. OIM is good. ACNUR is good. All the NGOs are good. You're being helped. Don't even worry about it. You're going to live in a shelter on the street, but you're in the United States. You made it. Yay. Incredible how they manipulate. Aquí no vas a hacer a nadie tonto. Y aquí no vas a hacer a nadie menso. Y esto va para todos aquellos periodistas que están hablando de que nosotros nos queremos adaptar a los Estados Unidos porque queremos ser como los gringos o como los güeros. No me vengan con estupideces y mamá. Por favor, déjense de estupideces. You're not going to be with your pandering and your ideology putting out there to make people understand, to make people think that it's, Mexicans, if they're Republican, it's because they want to be white. Stop with your stupid ideology. It's because we don't want to be progressive liberals. And it's because you're destroying our values. If the Democrats had our values, believe me, you will have a massive support. But you don't. This is new progressive liberalism. It doesn't adapt with our culture and our customs. And that is why you have this massive movement of Latinos into the Republican Party. And we are never going to adapt. Never. This is a really good comment. Cafecito, how you doing, Cafecito Break? Some people say Trump's sanctions helped to create the migrant crisis. What are your thoughts on that? How it's completely the opposite. Completely the opposite. And the one that is in the person that is saying that Trump's sanctions helped create this is a progressive liberal or leftist. It was completely the opposite. This is what happened. And this is the people that basically the people that they say this is the typical journalists from the New York Times or the Washington Post that they sit down in their incredible building from far away and they're just one phone call away and they're like, oh my God, let me call that guy in the suburb to just make sure that all this information is legitimate. My contact, but they don't never do nothing about it. They don't walk. They don't go to the epicenter of the crisis. What happened was this: under AMLO, we were escalated, and everybody knows how this administration ended. Under the AMLO administration. Two. You guys hear me? Under the AMLO administration, this recent president that just left the building, 6 years, it is speculated that more than 13 million immigrants entered illicitly and irregularly through the south border of Mexico. 13 million on their way to the northern borders. Before Donald Trump left office, he was having an escalated on the last years after the pandemic. It was coming, and a lot of this illicit immigration started happening. Non-caravans, there was only 2. Under the Biden administration, there was 9, and there's another one right here that it was just shown. And you had a couple of caravans. You had massive illicit activity at the borders happening. So what he did was basically this: because he got out of the global compact on migration, he was getting hit by lawsuits by all these NGOs, leftists, ACLU, and all these people that they were suing him because he was violating human rights and all this. They wanted to be part of this global compact because these NGOs are making millions of dollars out of a human crisis and of human necessity. There's already comparable evidence of all these NGOs that they're receiving more than in their tax return, more than $5 million. These Catholic charities receiving $10 to $20 million. These CFOs and CEOs from these NGOs that they're receiving $500,000 a year as payment out of a humanitarian crisis. So he got out of it, right? So he started getting hit by illicit migration, being pushed as a sandwich by the North in Canada and by the South in Mexico. So what he did, he said, instead of going one-on-one, instead of going to war with all these people, he told AMLO, one time he said, slow down your illegal migration. It is having a lot of consequence into our border. And it is provoking that your borders are unsafe. And as a matter of fact, if you go to those years, 2018 and 2019, specifically 2019 and 2020, you will see how many borders of Mexico were on the top 10 for violence and delinquents and homicides in the world. And you will have Tijuana and Juarez on the top 5. Tamaulipas was a complete disaster. A lot of cartel activity. The borders were out of control under AMLO at that particular time. What happened? Donald Trump said again, control your borders. Please, you're causing a lot of harm. You're doing a lot of harm to your people and to our people. So a lot of businessmen started leaving the borders, and it started having an economical consequence in our country. Next time, what he did, he said, you're not going to do nothing, right? I'm going to put a sanction, a threat of a sanction on you. Why? Because the automobile industry, all the manufacturing companies, big companies, where they make the vehicles are over here in Mexico. Toyota, Chevrolet, Mazda, Nissan, all these big monsters, they're over here. So he said, I'm going to put a 5% tariff on your automobile industry, on your beer industry, and your avocado industry. That's the biggest that you export. So immediately, Marcelo Ebrard, the international relations guy of Mexico, flew that day to see Mike Pompeo and William Barr into the White House. And immediately when he got there, he's like, what's going on? Why are you guys doing this? You guys are going to hit the middle-class families in our country of Mexico. Why you're going to do this? And he didn't go because the middle-class families were going to hit. No. He went over there because the businessman, they called this guy, this president, and said, hey, man, I'm going to get taxed of 5% because you're incapable of controlling your borders. Do something about it, man. I'm going to get hit. And the middle-class families are going to get hit. And the production lines are going to stop. This is the most lucrative industry in the world, the automobile industry. China makes 22.5 million cars, sells 22.5 million cars per year. I sell The American owner, 11.25 million cars per year. We're not catching up, and this is going to get worse. You're going to affect our pockets, and it's going to get worse. Fix this. AMLO had to now I got to do something. So what Donald Trump did was to hit these politicians and these corrupt politicians in Mexico where? In their pockets, so they can fix this problem. The only way that this is going to get resolved is you implement again this threat of a tariff. And these dirty politicians, they are going to do their job in Mexico. As also, these dirty politicians in the United States of America, they also need to get fired and exposed. Because I have said so many times, how far away are the corrupt politicians in the United States in the borders, the ones that they're congressmen, as different in the borders of Mexico? They're not different. Possibly they're worse. So what he did, he decreased the level of immigration, illicit immigration, into the borders. Caravans wanted to be formulated in the south border of Tapachula, and they were dismantled. National Guard was deployed all around all the borders to secure the citizens. And the citizens, if you ask citizens of every border of those particular times, all of them, they will tell you, we appreciate this. It was getting out of control, as it is out of control right now. Donald Trump got out. He didn't came back. The tariff was released, and look what has happened. Before Joe Biden came into office, I told everybody, you can go back to my videos 4 years ago. I said, you guys are going to have the worst immigration influx, massive. It's going to be a complete destruction, and you guys are going to be back on the global compact on migration. Biden is going to take away the tariff, and these politicians are going to run your borders like they own your borders, and they are going to run our borders with the cartel and the organized crime, and they're going to make a huge buck out of it. This was 4 years ago when I said this. If you go back to the videos, I'm not even lying. Go back. I said this, and look what has happened till now. Tariffs was released, was removed. The global compact was brought into the West, into your country, and it's a complete destruction. You have a huge problem of bad people coming in, gangs coming in. There's a lot of good people. I'm not going to tell you. I have walked with a lot of good people. I have said this to you. A lot of good migrants, and these people deserve an opportunity. I'm a pro-migrant. Of course, our people deserve a better opportunity, but not like this. This is not the way. Abusing and you taking advantage of them to just make a political profit and using us for your political votes. No. So if the tariff was the number one thing, forget about the policy, stay in Mexico and Title 42. Forget about that. The tariff, in my eyes, from my optic, was the number one thing that fixed this, because you hit the big guys in the pocket, and they're like, ay, güey, ay, cabrón. So you're telling me that every 53-foot trailer that I'm moving with vehicle parts from Tijuana to the United States of America was costing me $340? Yes. How much is it going to cost now? It's going to cost $640. My cabrón, double? Yeah, and why? Well, the president doesn't want to control the borders, and it has illicit migration. Give me his representative now. That's what happened. A lot of people believe that, in Mexico, the president is the one that controls the country. There's a whole spider web of people. You got Televisa, you got Carlos Slim, you got all these people that they have a lot of power, and they control. You got the banks, they control the banks. You got all these people that they control the economy. Yes, the president has the executive power, yes. But the ones that they control the economy of all these people. And when you have one guy in the United States that says, I'm going to tariff you with 5%, only 5%, and it's going to cost a lot of harm to the middle-class families. In the other country, you're like, whoa, man, whoa. So what's the problem? What is the problem right now? Well, I got out of the global compact, man. I'm trying to fix my country. I'm trying to fix the borders, And it is a win-win for me. Secure me, secure you. We send a message to the cartel and the organized crime that we're not having this. You put the National Guard on your side. I put mine on my side. You give the power to your border agents on your side. I give the power to my border agents on my side. We start making a human process later on a middle process, not a long-term process, but in a halfway process. We make a humanitarian effort for us to send money over there to help those countries. And then you help me to combat the organized crime and the cartel. It's a win-win, man. Why can we not do that? Because it's all about money. It's all about business. It's all about the cartel and the organized crime making all these billions of dollars out of illicit and illegal migration. It is all about that. You're hitting somebody in the pockets. That's why it got fixed. If you're asking me that question, it is completely the opposite. Just go back and look how many caravans that were formulated when the stay in Mexico, when the tariff was implemented. And just go into these 4 years of Biden. The biggest caravan that has ever come out of the south border of Mexico was under the Biden administration, with more than 15,000 migrants walking at the same time. And I was in that. I was covering that. So stop with your lines, progressive liberals. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. God bless you all. I'm going in an hour and 17 minutes. I think that was enough. I extended a little bit. I wanted to explain why, this is the current situation. A lot of the questions are this. The only way in Mexico to fix this is to hit these people in the pockets. Is the only way. They're making themselves rich out of a humanitarian crisis. You hit them in the pockets, and that's it. And they're going to get mad. They're going to be completely pissed off and upset, and they're going to be like, hey, what are you doing over there, man? This is my weekly. No. Your weekly's off, man. You fix this problem. That's it. And that was a solution without using weapons, without using, Dan Crenshaw is the most incompetent individual that I have ever seen, and he's a Republican. I have said this multiple times. He wants to come in by force. He wants to come in with the military. No. You don't come into another country. It's in our Constitution. That is called an invasion. You're not going to do that. Donald Trump used his brain instead of using weapons. And it was such an easy thing. I hit you in the economy. I hit you in the pockets. I hit you in the illicit economy that you're making out of the cartels. Yeah, I hit you there. Just fix this, please. Secure it. And that's it. As easy as it can be, man. Easy as can be. And these statements that I'm saying, the progressives are going to say, he's a traitor to his country. He's a betrayer to his country. All these that they're saying he's a traitor to his country, they live in the United States. They're the ones that we call pochos. They live in the United States, but they're Mexican. And they want to say, oh, you're a traitor to your own people. You're a traitor. Ah, cabrón, you don't live over here. You're living in the United States. You're living in the cradle of gold. You don't live over here. How's that? How's that logical? Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you all. Stay safe. Thank you for for being on this show. Buy me a coffee. It is right there, pinned in the chat. On YouTube. If you guys like to contribute to my independent reporting and travel fund, buy me a coffee. It is right there. It has been a complete honor to be with you guys today. Thank you so much. God bless. And like we always say, people, God's plan, it is our mission. Stay safe.